Well, just before Christmas, SpongeBob returned to theaters with his fourth theatrical film, Search for SquarePants, and I finally got around to watching it, and I've got to say, I don't hate the experience. Now, financially, Search for SquarePants ends its theatrical run grossing about $165 million worldwide, which just edged out the original 2004 film. It's not a massive cultural reset or billion-dollar juggernaut, but for SpongeBob in 2025, I think it's pretty solid. And when you actually sit down and watch it, it really feels like this movie was made for the original audience, which I appreciate, because I am that. This movie doesn't try to reinvent SpongeBob. It's not about saving the world. There's no universe-ending catastrophe. It's just a buddy adventure with familiar characters, silly obstacles, and a simple emotional arc. And honestly, that works. So what's the plot of this underwater journey? SpongeBob has officially grown tall enough to be considered a big guy, but despite that milestone, he's still afraid to ride roller coasters. Mr. Krabs tells him that if he wants to be brave, he needs to become a true swashbuckler, and SpongeBob draws the conclusion that the only way to do that is to complete a series of challenges set up by the Flying Dutchman. The twist is that the Flying Dutchman needs SpongeBob to do those challenges so he can turn back into a real boy. I'm a real boy! Yes, it's weird, it's very SpongeBob, but that's why you love it. A lot of the main characters return, which gives the movie that comforting classic feel, but you do get one new major addition, and that's Mark Hamill as the Flying Dutchman, and he does a good job. There are definitely moments where you hear a little bit of the Joker creeping in.
Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around.
But honestly, that's the chaotic energy that works for the Dutchman. He brings this mischievous, theatrical villain vibe that fits right into Bikini Bottom. Of course, SpongeBob and the gang eventually foil the Dutchman's plans. It's predictable, but in a comforting way. The movie wrapped things up with a nice little bow and doesn't overcomplicate anything. And here's the interesting part. There's a whole generation that grew up with SpongeBob SquarePants, but doesn't actively watch the current show anymore. However, when one of these theatrical movie drops, they show up, and this film clearly knows that. There's a nostalgic charm here that feels closer to the early SpongeBob seasons. The opening sequence especially gave me those classic vibes, and the Big Guy song genuinely felt like something that could have come straight out of the golden era. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still a bajillion poop jokes. Some of them land, a majority of them make you roll your eyes, but that's a part of the package in the year 2025. Visually, it looks great, the voice acting is still fantastic, and the humor is a mix of clever and grown-worthy stuff. But that's why you go back under the sea, not for prestige cinema, not for deep philosophy storytelling. You go back because you want to spend time with the characters you loved for over 20 years. And on that level, it works. Overall, I enjoyed this film. I wouldn't mind revisiting some of the other SpongeBob movies on the channel here either. So if that's something you'd like to see, we've got, of course, the original 4, or the SpongeBob 4, and then the 2 spin-offs with another spin-off coming. Let me know in the comments if I should take a look at those. And of course, make sure you like and subscribe, as we're still pushing our way toward 1,000 subscribers before the release of Avengers Doomsday. And every single one of you helps us get there. Thank you for watching today's episode, and now that you've got some time, you can go refill that popcorn bucket.